Josie, thanks so much for your session today. Really looking forward to hearing about branding and personal branding, all this sort of stuff. So I'm going to hand over to you. God bless you. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Matt. Oh, well, I'm going to be talking today about personal branding, and I'm hopefully going to give you lots of tips and tricks that you can really use and delve into what it is, and hopefully you can go away with some real practical tools that you can start working on. But just before I get going, I just want to introduce myself. Who am I? Who is this crazy lady talking to me? So this is me and my lovely family. So my name is Josie Gamble. I'm 43 years old. I live in Wolverhampton in the West Midlands, and I'm mum to 3 beautiful girls. I'm going to whiz through some of this because obviously we had the delay at the beginning, and I want to get to the good stuff for you guys. But again, just what I do, I run a creative design business called Gamble Designs, and we do web design, brand design, print design. I run that as a sole trader. I've done that for the last 14 years. And before that, I lectured in design for 7 years, and I taught industrial product design and interior design. So I have a lot of experience within the design industry. While I was lecturing at the university, I did that 3 days a week. I also worked for my church 2 days a week, which I was part of. I was a founding member 23 years ago. So I've traveled the journey of church growth from zero to where we are now 23 years later, and all the joys that come with that. So my 2 passions in life are serving God, the church, and creativity. So on the back of that, what I also do, so my design business is my bread and butter, but in 2017 I launched the Christian Creative Network, which is a national network of local branches connecting and supporting Christian creatives. And then last year, as coming under the same kind of mission of championing creativity in the church, I launched the Christian Creative Directory, which is kind of supports the network, and it simply connects Christian creatives with businesses, churches, and charities who need them. So it's an online directory. If you're a church minister and you think, I need a new website, where can I find a Christian creative? This is where you go, christiancreativedirectory.com. And there are 115 different categories, all from makers, artists, sculptors, to drone and photographers, and all the categories that you could look for. And I just share that just so it gives you a little bit of a background of me. But what I'm talking on today is personal branding. So in my line of business, I build websites, brands, print design, and I'm effectively designing solutions for my clients. And I built many a personal brand in that time. So through charity, through the arts, through church and TV, I've created personal brands for people. And what I'm going to talk on today, I want to draw from that experience. I want to try and make it as simple as possible. You know, you can study years on branding and the schools of thought behind it, but I'm just really going to draw on my experience from that and what I've gleaned over the years. And I'm going to be looking at what is branding, because everyone would have heard of the word brand or branding, but understanding it's quite important just so that you know what we're talking about. I want to talk about why it's important, and then hopefully leave you with some tips to help you get going in that. So I've kind of whizzed through that first section. I hope that's okay, so I can get on to this. Now, I deal with hundreds of clients, sole traders, small businesses, startups, through to multinational companies, and it's the same service that I offer all of those people. And I can talk about some of the similar kind of questions and hurdles that everyone faces. But when it comes to describing what branding is, what I've landed on is this particular phrase, and I can't even claim it as my own. Can't remember who said it, but your brand is how people talk about your business when you are not there. So if you were to ask 10 people in a room, 10 different people who know you and kind of know what you do, and you ask them, what does Josie do? And if 10 different people gave 10 same answers, then I have a strong brand. They know what I do. If those 10 people said 10 different things, then my brand is very weak because it's confusing. They don't know exactly what I do. So your brand is how people talk about you when you're not there. And then following on from that, marketing is simply teaching people how to talk about your business when you are not there. Sometimes marketing can be a bit of a dirty word, or and advertising and people trying, oh, it's not good for me, it's not, I don't want to get into that. But actually all it is it's communicating. It's communicating with people and just teaching them how to talk about your business when you're not there. So what makes up a brand? Now, most people will be familiar with the identity side of a brand. So, I get a client come to me and say, Josie, can you design me a logo? I was like, sure. And they say, okay, well, now this logo, it needs to communicate everything that we do. And it needs to, at a glance, people go, oh yeah, I know exactly what they do. And it needs to totally, they need to be able to trust it. And they need to, and they'll give me a whole list, like an A4 page of everything that it needs to do. But really what they're describing is a brand. And actually, there are 6 elements that make up a brand. So identity, which is, again, most people are familiar with, but the voice, promise, values, targeting, and positioning. And this is actually what makes up a brand. And in a minute, I'm going to just go into each one of those a little bit, just to unpack it for you. But as I said at the beginning, I'm going to be talking about personal branding. So personal branding is kind of a niche part of branding. And I'm just going to explain and just go over a little bit what that is. So basically, personal branding is how you promote yourself. It's a unique combination of skills, expertise, and personality that you want everybody to see. And it's the idea that people have of you from what is presented and what they see in real life. Because some people you will never meet in person, but they will have a perception of you and what you do. And that is the also part of the personal brand. And you use your personal brand to set yourself apart from others. So what makes up a brand? Now, I mentioned those 6 elements earlier. I'm going to drill into those a little bit more now, but I'm going to do it in the context of a personal brand. So here we go. The first one was identity. And I mentioned that most people are familiar with this side of things. And it's a collection of visible elements that make you unique and different. So, for example, logos and fonts. Most people come to me, understand that they need a logo and that it's good to have a font that sets them apart. So this is an example of a personal brand logo I did for a lady called Nicola Neal. As you can see, her logo is her name, which tends to be the case when it's a personal brand, or it could include an element of their name. So Gamble Designs is my business. So Gamble is my surname and design is what I do. So it's a personal brand, but it's a business brand. And what you'll find actually is if you are a sole trader, you are your brand. So your brand is your business, but you are your business. So sole traders tend to have a personal brand because it revolves around them. Again, most people will know and appreciate that you need to have you as a personal brand. It's about you. It's you as a person. So you need your profile image. Again, these are 2 images for Nicola Neal, who is one of my clients. I built a brand website for. And colors. So again, most people are familiar with that they need to choose a color. You can see all the big corporate brands, Coca-Cola with the red, and there's a general acceptance and understanding that that's needed. You can actually see here that we took her brand colors from this profile picture. She's had a wonderful photo shoot, and we pulled the orange from the brick and the blue from her jacket. And actually you can see she wears this jacket a lot. It's kind of formed part of her brand, of who she is. I can speak a little bit more about that later. But so identity, most people are familiar with this, but the other 5 elements of brand, I'm just going to unpack for you because not everybody would think that that's part of it. So your voice, your personal brand voice, it's the way you talk to your audience, and it's the tone, and you get to set that tone. So that tone might be authoritative, playful, fun, ominous, kind, intellectual, and you can see that actually those are different ways of talking to people, and depending on your business, your service, your audience, what you're trying to communicate. So if you are a scientist trying to bring new or teach on you'd want to be authoritative. If you were maybe an Instagrammer, you may be more playful with your talk, and this can come across in something as simple as your email. So if you were being quite corporate and formal, your email may be info@Gamble Designs, or I could have Josie at Gamble Designs. And you can see both emails have the same function, but very different tone. One is much more approachable because it's got my name in it. The other much more removed, but formal. So you get to choose your tone and the language in how you communicate. The second bit, and this is not a technical term, but this is what I use, your blurb. And it's the simplest way to describe it, again, with my clients is, and you may have heard the elevator pitch or your 60-second pitch. If you walk into an elevator, the person next to you presses the buttons, then turns to you and says, what do you do? You've got the time it takes for that lift to get to its destination to tell this person what you do. And often that's quite short. So that's why it might be referred to as the 60-second pitch. And actually, that is incredibly hard to define and refine and get right. But it actually, that forms your blurb. And then that's your, like, it might look like half a paragraph on an A4 page. And if you can nail that, refine that, get that to define exactly what you do and who you are. And there are techniques to write this, and you can Google that. And this isn't, I don't have time to drill into that, but it's effectively what you describe yourself as. And then if you use that everywhere you go, that forms another element of your brand. And then the strap line, which is effectively a condensed, super condensed version of your blurb. And so for me, my business strapline is your creative edge, because I am being the creative edge to my clients. And what that strapline does, it's a short, sharp catchphrase that I can use to describe what I do, but I'm also giving my customers a voice to describe what I do. For example, Asda, their strapline isn't, we are the cheapest supermarket in the nation. I mean, they probably aren't anymore, and I don't go into Asda and pick food from the shelf thinking, they're the cheapest, that's not what's going through my mind. I actually walk along going, every little helps, because what they've done is they've given me the language to think about them or talk about them or describe about them. And that's what your strapline can do for your business. Again, there are lots of schools of thoughts of the best types of straplines to give and do. But actually, some does what it says on the tin, or your strapline describes exactly what you do, which you don't need to do if it's in your business name or your brand name. But actually, that's the bit that you've got that goes with your logo, your strapline, and any visual identity, and that will go with you everywhere. So it's very good to think long and hard about that. So your promise is another element. So this is the next element. And this is the essence of what you have to offer and guide you in how you live your personal brand. So I've got a couple of examples here. This is Nike. Nike's promise is to bring inspiration and innovation to every athlete in the world. Now, that's not their strapline. Their strapline is just do it. And there are various other ones. But the promise to their customers through their brand, through their visual stuff, the way you interact with them, how you talk with them, this is what they're trying to achieve for their customers. Within my business, my personal brand, my business, my design business, my promise is I design solutions to grow your business. Now, my strapline is your creative edge, but my promise is that I'm designing solutions to grow your business. So you can see how the two differ, but my promise will determine many decisions I make about my business, because I think, hold on, I'm not going to do that, because actually my promise is to design solutions to grow your business. So it helps keep you in check as a business owner, or as a personal brand, or as a minister, a church leader. What is it? Some people might call it, refer to it as a vision. I'm whizzing through these, so I hope this is okay. But values, this is your next element that form your brand. And so your values are the beliefs that you as an individual stand for. And what these might look like is loyalty, honesty, trust, integrity, accountability, simplicity, respect, and there are many more. But if you are in the business of selling your advice, they need to know, your customers need to know that they can trust you. And how do you build that trust? You build that through your brand, through the way you communicate, through your language, through your visuals. If you want to talk about honesty, then you've got to convey that you are an honest person. If you have a personal Facebook account and a business Facebook account, then if you are not being honest in your personal one, that will affect your business one. So your brand it personifies you everywhere you go, and you get your values across through your brand. Targeting, this is the next element, and you've got to define your audience. So you can define your audience by location, by age, by gender, by price points, by what problem you are solving, by beliefs. There are many, many ways of defining your audience. But until you've done that, you can't define your brand. Because, for example, if you are an influencer and you are trying to sell skateboards, your audience is going to be young, and they were going to be on Snapchat and TikTok. And already that's defining where you talk to them. It's defining the language, because you're going to be friendly and approachable and hip and cool. And maybe even those words tell you that I'm not hip and cool. But if you're, if you're selling life insurance, your audience are older, and they will be seeking you in different places, magazines or on Saga Radio. And so already by defining your audience, it will refine your brand. It will dictate who you're communicating to. Now, if you come to me as a business owner and say, build this website, one of my first questions is, who's your audience? Because already that would give me the parameters to then say, well, then this is what you need and where you go, and the market you're trying to, the marketing strategy you need to adopt. But if you come to, I just want to sell to everyone, then you need to rethink your approach, because nobody can sell to everyone. So you need to understand who is your audience, who is your ideal audience, if you haven't already got one because you're starting up, but you need to identify that, because that forms part of your brand. And then finally, your positioning. So it's how you would like your brand to be perceived by customers. So there will always be someone better than you, and you will always be better than someone else. There's a positioning. But I think this image, helps to maybe show positioning in a visual way with the car industry. So you can see here, we've got high price, high quality, low price, and low quality. And Mercedes-Benz here, they've positioned themselves in this market. They want to be high price, high quality. That's what they want to be known for. Whereas you can look down here, you've got the other mates, Kia, they're low quality and low price. So they are serving a different audience. They've identified their audience and they've positioned themselves at this point in the market. Now, they could try and go up here, but if their audience is has got a low budget, they're going to be positioning themselves in the wrong place. So as a personal brand, where are you positioning yourself in this market? Who else is doing what you do? Who else is doing it? There are thousands, millions of designers out there. So what sets me apart from them? What is my unique selling point? What is it that I offer? Why do people come to me and not this person? Why do I want people to come to me? What do I want to be known for? Yes, I do web, brand, graphic, but they come to me because I listen, because I'm trustworthy, because I'm honest, and they know I'm trustworthy because one of my previous clients has recommended me. So that builds my trust. They can see what I'm doing because I've got a presence online. And so all of these elements, identity, voice, promise, values, targeting, position, they are 6 elements that make up your brand. I hope that helps, because sometimes, as I said before, someone might just think the logo is their brand, but it's more than that. It's the experience somebody has when they encounter you or your service. It's that feeling that they're left with when they go away. Did they feel like you solved their problem, or did they just feel sold to? And really, every business exists to solve a problem. If you can identify what problem you are solving, then you can communicate the value of what you are bringing to your customers, to your audience, because you are solving that problem that they have. Okay, why is brand important? So it ensures that people see you in the way that you want them, instead of some arbitrary or possibly detrimental way. It's the opportunity to highlight your strengths and your passions. It helps people believe they know you better, and people have much higher trust in those that they feel they know. You need to create a strong personal brand if you want to be considered influential. Not everybody wants to be considered influential, but actually every business exists to solve a problem, and you want to influence that solution. So really, we all want to be influential. And you can use your personal brand to demonstrate your knowledge and skill about your area of expertise. So this is why it's important to have a personal brand. And actually, millennials in particular have a distrust of advertising. 84% of millennials, I can't say that word, trust neither the advertisements nor the brands that create them, yet they are prepared to believe the people they feel they know. Isn't that interesting? And actually, this has meant a major rethink of how businesses market themselves. And indeed, this is one of the reasons why influencer marketing has become so successful over recent years. So people are nosy, people follow people, people buy from people. And so the whole rise of social media has given this rise to individuals and personal branding. And there are some strengths and there's some good things and bad things that come with that. So then it comes down to the question, well, should Christians have a personal brand? I've already said that personal branding is self-promotion. Is that not contrary to who we are? Because we want to be promoting Jesus. And yes, there are some, as I've said, some negative things that come with it. But the verse I always come back to is in 1 Samuel 16, verse 7. Man looks at the outward appearance, but God looks at the heart. God is after our heart. And we are responsible for guarding our heart. And so for me, the question of, is personal branding okay? I think it's more about actually, is my heart right in personal branding? You know, before electric guitars were used in worship, people are like, oh, we can't have electric guitars. That's associated with the rock and roll culture. We don't want any of that. And yet you look now and think, no, it's not the guitar that's the issue. It's the heart of the person behind the guitar. If you are an anointed person of God and you can worship through that, then yes, do that because your heart is pointing to God. And I would apply that same thinking to a personal brand. It's not shouldn't have personal brand. It's where is your heart in that? Because actually, I have a solution that I believe in as a business owner. I can bring and make a difference. As a church minister, I can bring Jesus and I can bring, I'm not a church minister. I'm assuming, talking as if somebody watching might be a church minister. But as a church minister, you have a solution that is going to change lives. And who wouldn't want to talk about that? But it's the heart behind it. And we're not promoting ourselves for our selves purpose. And we have to guard that. So having said all of that, I know I'm short on time, so I'm going to whiz through these 5 top tips. And then if there are any questions, I'm sure the host can bring those to me, and I hope this will help you. 5 top tips for creating a strong personal brand. Firstly, if you can afford it, pay someone to do it. And if you don't know where to look, go to christiancreativedirectory.com, and there are people, Christians on there who are skilled in this, who can help you. And you can search for brand design, graphic design, web design, any design that you need on there. Just go and search today and find them. Or you can post it as an opportunity for free, and we'll push that out on our socials. And then those creatives will come to you. But here we go, 5 top tips. Keep it simple. So just looking, this is a personal brand. I showed you an example earlier. Nicola Neal, your name, simple font. It doesn't necessarily need a little icon logo to go with it. Less is more. Choose your colours. So if you're not sure what colour to go with, so I was working with one client, she was a consultant, and I said, what colour would you like? What colour do you see? She said, oh, I have no idea. And then she said, but you know what? All of my work clothes are hot pink. My wardrobe is hot pink. Brilliant. You're already personifying your brand. So you don't have to try to fit into this brand. It's basically, your brand is communicating who you are, your values. It's communicating what you already are, and it's just defining it for you. So as I said earlier, this is the red from the brick and the blue from this Nicola's denim jacket, which she wears often. And so actually what you wear can become part of your branding. You have to look at someone like Steve Jobs, same top every time, or Simon Cowell, white t-shirt, blue jeans. That is part of their brand, that identifies them. So there's your representation. Use great photos. Anything is only ever as good as the photo. A website will only ever be as good as the photos. So if you can, get a professional photo shoot. If you can't, get someone who is an amateur but a skilled amateur who can do it for you. Ask around, someone who's got a good camera, or at least if you're doing it on your phone, just think about it, set it up, because this is how people will see you, and first impressions count. So if you can get great photos, and Unsplash is an online free image source library of amazing photos that you can use in any website, advertising, marketing, that just give you a much more professional edge. And we are in the most visually literate generation, and people expect good imagery. And so gone are the days where you can use clip art. You need to look professional, otherwise people aren't going to look. And it's just the standard of the level that people expect. Refine. So I talked earlier about your blurb, and it is hard to get that. And I've gone through this process myself with my businesses that I run, but also with clients. But doing it yourself, you just got to write, what is it I do? And then relook at it. And, you could maybe, it's this long to start with, and shrink it and shrink it and shrink it. And the more you talk it to people, the more they ask, well, what do you mean by that? And, oh, actually, that word's a bit confusing. I might switch it to this. So for a long time, I would say that the Christian Creative Network champions creativity in the body of Christ. And then I say body of Christ to someone, and they'd say, oh, what's that? And I go, oh, or I'd say the church, and go, oh, you mean the local church? And no, it's the body of Christ. And so just by bouncing off other people, you've got to kind of be vulnerable and step back from it and not hold it so personally, but refine it until you get the core of what it is you're doing. Go one step at a time. Don't try and be on all the social platforms straight away, because you just won't get it. And actually, you might never get Twitter. To be honest, to me, Twitter sounds like I'm at the top of a mountaintop shouting, and I don't know who's listening. But I do get Facebook and Instagram. So don't try and do all things. Just do one thing at a time. But I put YouTube here because there is just a gazillion tutorials on there. You can learn so much. So go one step at a time, but just learn, ask. There's so much information out there that can really help you. And 5, be consistent. Consistency. Use the same logo everywhere. Use the same strapline everywhere. If you want, wear the same clothes everywhere, and you might not want to, but do all of this, and it's the consistency that will help you. So use the same phraseology everywhere, and actually even on Google search algorithms, if you're using the same phrase on one platform as another platform, Google likes that to help you show up in search engines. So it actually benefits with your search engine optimization as well. I'm whizzing through this because I'm short on time, but just as a reminder, people buy from people. So gone are the days we can hide behind a brand and a business. Actually, people want to know about you. And one of the biggest things about sole traders who come to me, or people who want a personal brand, is that they want to try and hide behind this business name or this persona. But actually, no, people want to buy from people. You don't have to spill your whole soul. You can keep your personal side separate, but what you present on a professional front is really important. What is your USP? What is your unique selling point? Why do people come from you? If you're not sure, ask people. Ask your customers, ask your friends, your family, what is it that people come to you for? Because sometimes it's hard to see for yourself. Good photo, get a good photo. I would strongly advise a professional photo shoot, but that really is a really big thing. Choose a color, make it something you like, or something you think appeals to your audience, your market, your strapline, and be consistent. Consistency is key. So just looking back, your brand is how people talk about you when you are not there, and all you're doing is teaching them how to talk about you. You get to influence that. There are 6 elements of your brand: identity, voice, promise, targeting, and positioning. You don't have to go majorly into those, but you just be aware of those because it helps you in the long run. And a strong brand builds confidence and influence. But it's your responsibility to guard your heart. It's not about you. You're serving your customers. Jesus came as a servant, and any business, any minister, anybody doing anything, we're doing it out of service to other people. Be consistent.